Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Narayanam Namaskritya Naram Chaiva Narottamam Devim Saraswatim Vyasam Tato Jayamudirya Nashtaprayeshu Vajreshu Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya Bhagavati Uttam Shloke Bhaktir Bhavati Naistike. So continuing with the discussion on Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 10, today we are starting new chapter, chapter 17, the history of Kaliya. Text 1 onwards. Shri Raju Vacha Nagalayam Ramanakam Katham Tatyaj Kaliya Kritam Kimva Suparnasya Tene Kena Sanjasa. Having thus heard how Lord Krishna chastised Kaliya, King Parikshit inquired, why did Kaliya leave Ramanak Island, the abode of the serpents, and why did Garuda become so antagonistic toward him alone? Shri Shukuvacha Upaharya Sarpajaner Masi Masi Yubalihi Vanaspatyo Mahabaho Naganam Pranirupita Swam Sambhagam Prayachanti Naga Parvani Parvani Gopi Thayatmana Sarve Suparnaya Mahatmane. Shukdev Goswami said, to avoid being eaten by Garuda, the serpents had previously made an arrangement with him whereby they could each make a monthly offering of tribute at the base of a tree. Thus, every month on schedule, O mighty armed King Parikshit, each serpent would duly make his offering to the powerful carrier of Vishnu as a purchase of protection. Srila Sridhar Swami has given an alternate explanation of this verse. Upaharya may also be translated as by those who are to be eaten, and Sarpajana as those human beings who were dominated by or who belonged to the serpent race. According to this reading, a group of human beings had fallen under the control of the serpents and were prone to be eaten by them. To avoid this, the human beings would make a monthly offerings to the serpents, who in turn would offer a portion of that offering to Garuda, so that he would not eat them. The particular translation given above is based on the commentary of Srila Sanatana Goswami and the translation by Srila Prabhupada in his Krishna book. In any case, all the acharyas agree that the serpents purchased protection from Garuda. So kind of hafta. So it wasn't a hafta, and Garuda wasn't a gunda, but he had to eat. But what used to happen was when he would come and kill the snakes, he would kill so many snakes and he would eat just few and then leave. So the snakes, the king of snakes, they all went to Garuda that, please don't kill all of us or too many, just for your food. Well, you know you get hungry. So they made a pact with him. Okay, every month he will get some offerings. Please don't kill us all. Vishwaviryam adavishta kadra veyastu kaliya kadarthi kritya garudam swayam tam bubuche balim. Although all the other serpents were dutifully making offerings to Garuda, one serpent, there has to be one person, the arrogant Kaliya, son of Kadru, would eat all these offerings before Garuda could claim them. Thus Kaliya directly defied the carrier of Lord Vishnu. Tachrutva Kuvito Rajan Bhagwan Bhagavatriya Vijighansur Mahavega Kalyam Samapadrivat. O king, the greatly powerful Garuda, who was very dear to the Supreme Lord, became angry when he heard of this. Desiring to kill Kaliya, he rushed towards the serpent with tremendous speed. Srila Sanatana Goswami explains the word Mahavega indicates that the great speed of Garuda cannot be checked by anyone. Tama patantam tarsa vishayudha pratyabhyad utthit nakamastakaha dadbhi suparnam vyadashad dadayudha karala jivrocha vasitogra lochana. As Garuda swiftly fell upon him, Kaliya, who had the weapon of poison, raised his numerous heads to counteract. counterattacked. Showing his ferocious tongues and expanding his horrible eyes, Kalia then bit Garuda with the weapons of his fangs. Acharyas explained that Kalia used his weapon of poison at a distance by spitting venom upon his enemy and at short range by biting him with his terrible fangs. Tam tarkshe putra sanirasya manyuman prachanda vego madhusudanasanah pakshena savyena hiranya rochisha jagana kadru sutam ugra vikramaha. The angry son of Tarksha moved with overwhelming speed in repelling Kalia's attack. That terribly powerful carrier of Lord Madhusudan struck the son of Kadru with his left wing, which shone like gold. Suparna Paksha bihata Kalyo ativa vivala Ritam vivesh kalindyasa tad gamyam durasadam. Beaten by Garuda's wing, Kalia was extremely distraught, and thus he took shelter of a lake adjoining the river Yamuna. Garuda could not enter this lake. Indeed, he could not even approach it. Why? Tatra ekada jalacharam Garudo bhakshamipsitam nivarita so bharina prasya akshudito aharat. In that very lake, Garuda had once desired to eat a fish being after all his normal food. Although forbidden by the sage Sobhari, who was meditating there within the water, Garuda took courage and feeling hungry, seized the fish. Shukdev Goswami is now explaining why Garuda could not approach the lake in the Yamuna river. It's the nature of the birds to eat fish, and thus by the arrangement of the Lord, the great bird Garuda does not commit any offense by nourishing himself with fish. On the other hand, Sobhari Muni's forbidding a much greater personality to eat his normal food did constitute an offense. According to Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur, Sobhari committed two offenses. First, he dared to give an order to the supremely exalted soul like Garuda, and second, he obstructed Garuda from satisfying his desire, and which is natural for Garuda to eat fish. He wasn't going out of his way. So this we studied how Sobhari Muni, because he was performing tapasya, although underwater, but because of offense, he saw two fishes having sex in the water, so he developed this desire, and he came out and he got married to the daughters of, I think, King Mandhata. Meenan sukhiditan drishtva dinan meen patohate kripya sobhari praha tatra ate eksham kshemam acharan. Seeing how the unfortunate fish in that lake had become most unhappy at the death of the leader, Sobhari uttered the following curse under the impression that he was mercifully acting for the benefit of the lake's residents. In this regard, Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur explains that when our so-called compassion does not tally with the order of the Supreme Lord, it merely causes a disturbance. Because Sobhari had forbidden Garuda's coming to that lake, Kalia moved in. So Garudaji could not come. Sobhari Muni had to leave because of the offense. So Kalia came in that lake, and what did he do? He made his headquarters there, and this spelled doom for all the lake's residents. And because of his poison, all the fishes died. Atra pravishya Garudo yadi matsyansa khadati sadhya pranaya vayujyeta satyam etad pravimyaham. If Garuda ever again enters this lake, this is Sobhari Rishi said, and eats the fish here, he will immediately lose his life. What I am saying is the truth. Acharyas explained in this regard that because of Sobhari Muni's material attachment and affection for a fish, he failed to see the situation from the spiritual viewpoint. The 9th canto of Srimad Bhagavatam describes his fall down for this offense. Because of false pride, Sobhari Muni lost his power of austerity and with it his spiritual beauty and happiness. When Garuda came to the Yamuna, Sobhari Muni thought, although he may be a personal associate of the Supreme Lord, I'll curse him and even kill him if he disobeys my order. Such an offensive attitude against an exalted Vaishnava will certainly destroy one's auspicious position in life. As the ninth canto describes, Sabri Muni married many beautiful women and suffered greatly in their association. So his suffering was he just forgot all about his austerities, all about it. And later on, of course, it came back and he left everything and went back to do his tapasya. But because he had once become glorious by taking shelter of the Yamuna river in Sri Vrindavan, he was ultimately delivered. Tatkalia param veda nanya kashana leliha avad siddha garuda advita krishnena cha vivasita. Of all the serpents, only Kalia came to know of this affair, and in fear of Garuda, he took up residence in that Yamuna lake. Later, Lord Krishna drove him out. So what had happened was, when the fighting was going on between Kalia and Garuda, Kalia knew after he was beaten by the wings of Garudaji that there's no way I can save myself. So he ran from there. A big snake, he could really run or swim or even fly. He could fly also. So he went all over the universe, running away from Garudaji. Garudaji was very fast and Kalia was also very fast. Garudaji could not catch him. So Kalia went in the Patal Loka, where Anand Shesh was there. And he begged for his mercy. So we are of the same species. Please protect me from Garuda. So Anand Shesh said, well, I cannot fight with Garudaji. He is the order carrier of my Lord. I can tell you a secret because we are of the same species. You go to this Yamuna lake in Vrindavan, and Garudaji cannot come there because of this curse. Kalia didn't know. Anand Shesh told him. And that is why when this pastime of Krishna chastising Kalia happened, Balramji wasn't there at that time when he entered the lake. So because all the snakes, they respect Balramji. Balramji is expanding himself as Ananta Shesha, and all the snakes know that. Krishnam hridad vinishkrantam divyasrag gandhavasasam mahamani gana kiranam jamun nad parishkritam uplabhyo titha sarve labdha prana ivasavaha pramoda nibhritatmanu gopa pritya abhire vire. Resuming his description of Krishna's chastisement of Kali, Shukdev Goswami continued. Krishna rose up out of the lake wearing divine garlands, fragrances, and garments covered with many fine jewels and decorated with gold. When the cowherds saw him, they all stood up immediately, just like an unconscious person's senses coming back to life. Filled with great joy, they affectionately embraced him. So there's another pastime that happened. When Krishna chastised Kalia, Kalia went away, but Krishna was in the water for a very long time. Although it says here that he got divine garments also, Kalia presented all these garments, but he was still wet and he was cold. So close to Kalia there is Madan Mohanji temple in Vrindavan, and in that Madan Mohanji temple, there is a place like outside. It's called Dwadash Aditya Tila. Actually, Srimati Radharani comes every day there to worship Suryadev when they are in Vrindavan. So when Krishna came over there, he was still cold. So Dwadash means 12. Aditya means sun. So 12 suns came up all at once because Krishna was feeling cold to be in the Yamuna for such a long time. So they all showed up at once to give heat to Krishna, to dry him up, to give him some heat. That's the external reason. Internal was Srimati Radharani was there because she was afraid what's going to happen to Krishna. She was praying to sun god, and Krishna showed up showed up at that place first to give assurance to Radharani. I'm okay. I'm here. And then this following pastime happened. So many things he does all at the same time. Yashoda Rohini Nando Gopyo Gopashcha Gaurava Krishnam Samitya Labdeha Asan Shushka Nagapi. Having regained their vital functions, Yashoda, Rohini, Nanda, and all other cowherd women and men went up to Krishna, or descendant of Kuru. Even the dried up trees came back to life because once Kalia left, his poisonous effect also left. And by mercy of Krishna, Krishna's touch of Krishna's lotus feet, even the dried up trees came back to life. Ramascha Chittam Alingya Jahasasyan Avavit Premnatam Ankam Aropya Punar Udakshata Gavo Vrisha Vatsar Sataryo Lebhire Paramam Mudam. Lord Balram embraced his infallible brother and laughed, knowing well the extent of Krishna's potency. Out of great feelings of love, Balram lifted Krishna upon his lap and repeatedly looked at him. The cows, bulls, and young female calves also achieved the highest pleasure. Nandam Vipra Samagatya Gurva Sakalatrikaha Uchuste Kalya Grasto Dishtya Muktastatmatmajaha. All the respectable Brahmins, together with the wives, came forward to greet Nanda Maharaj. They said to him, "Your son was in the grips of Kalya, but by the grace of Providence, he is now free." So nobody saw what Krishna, how he chastised Kalya. They said, "Oh, by grace of Providence, he is now free." Dehi Dhanam Dvijati Nam Krishna Nirmukti Hetuve Nanda Pritamana Rajan Gaha Suvarnam Tadadisa Shat. The Brahmins then advised Nanda Maharaj to assure that your son Krishna will always be free from danger. You should give charity to the Brahmins. With the satisfied mind of King, Nanda Maharaj then very gladly gave them gifts of cows and gold. So it's not that the Brahmins were greedy. They're not greedy. The real Brahmins are never greedy. They're always satisfied. Even with little, they're satisfied. But by giving charity to the Brahmins, the Supreme Lord gets pleased, and whatever is in our heart, he fulfills those desires. Yashodapi Mahabhaga Nashta Labdha Prajasati Parishvatyankam Ankam Aropya Mumochashru Kalam Muhu. The greatly fortunate Mother Yashoda, having lost her son and then regained him, placed him on her lap. That chaste lady cried constant torrents of tears as she repeatedly embraced him. Tamratrim tatra Rajendra Kshutring Maya Shram Karshita Ushur Vrajokaso Gava Kalindya Upakulata. O best of Kings Parikshit, because the residents of Vrindavan were feeling very weak from hunger, thirst, and fatigue, they and the cows spent the night where they were, lying down near the banks of the Kalindi or Yamuna. Shiladev Goswami points out that although the people were weak from hunger and thirst, they did not drink the milk from the cows present there because they feared it had been contaminated by the serpent's poison. The residents of Vrindavan were so overjoyed to get back their beloved Krishna that they did not want to go back to their houses. They wanted to stay with Krishna on the bank of the Yamuna so that they could continuously see him. Thus they decided to take rest near the river bank. Because everything was green, everything came back to life. Tada Shuchivanodbhuto Davagni Sarvato Vrajam Suptam Nishita Avritya Pradagdhum Upachakrame. During the night, while all the people of Vrindavan were asleep, a great fire blazed up within the dry summer forest. The fire surrounded the inhabitants of Raj on all sides and began to scorch them. Srila Sanatana Goswami and Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur have commented that perhaps a loyal friend of Kalia had assumed the form of forest fire to avenge his friend, or perhaps the forest fire was manifest by a demon who was a follower of Kansa. Tatuthaya Sambranta Dayamana Vrajokasa Krishnam Yayuste Sharanam Maya Anujam Ishwaram. Then the residents of Vrindavan woke up, extremely disturbed by the great fire threatening to burn them. Thus they took shelter of Krishna, the Supreme Lord, who by his spiritual potency appeared like an ordinary human being. So far, when the Krishna was in the coils of Kalia, all these Brajvasis, they were praying, "Oh Krishna, what will happen to him? He will die, and this and that." They were worried about him. And when the forest fire was there, they all took shelter of Krishna. The Shruti of Vedic mantras state, Sarupa Bhutya Nitya Shaktya Maya Kya. The Lord's external potency named Maya is innate in its original form. Thus, within the eternal spiritual body of the Supreme Lord, there is infinite potency which effortlessly manipulates all existence according to the omniscient desire of the Absolute. The residents of Vrindavan took shelter of Krishna, thinking, "This blessed boy will certainly be empowered by God to save us." They remembered the words of the sage Gargamuni spoken at the birth ceremony of Lord Krishna. By his power, you will easily be able to cross over all obstacles. Therefore, the residents of Vrindavan, who had full faith in Krishna, took shelter of the Lord in hopes of being saved from the impending disaster threatened by the forest fire. Krishna Krishna Mahabhaka, He Ramam It Vikrama, Esha Ghoratamo Bahanis, Tavakan Graste Hinaha. Vrindavan residents said, "Krishna, Krishna, Lord of all opulence, O Ram, possessor of unlimited power, this most terrible fire is about to devour us, your devotees. Sudustaranna Swanpani, Kalagne Sufrida Prapo, Nashaknam Astva Charanam, Santi Uktam Pakuto Bhayam." O Lord, we are your true friends and devotees. Please protect us from this insurmountable fire of death. We can never give up your lotus feet, which drive away all fear. The residents of Vrindavan told Krishna, "If this deadly fire overcomes us, we will be separated from your lotus feet, and this is unbearable for us. Therefore, just so that we can go on serving your lotus feet, please protect us." So somebody can say, this is very selfish of Brajvasis. Oh, they wanted to be protected so that they can serve Krishna, they can continue to serve Krishna. What if Krishna wanted them to die? But no, the real meaning here is, if something happens to us, you will be in pain, lots of pain, and we don't want to see that pain. We don't want to see you suffering. So you please save us. This is very high mood. They're not worried about themselves. They're worried about Krishna, always. Ittham swajana vaikalvyam niriksha jagadishvara tamagni pati tivram ananto ananta shakti dhrik. Seeing his devotees so disturbed, Shri Krishna, the infinite Lord of the universe and possessor of infinite power, then swallowed the terrible forest fire. So actually he asked them to close their eyes, and then he swallowed the forest fire. Why did he ask them to close their eyes? Because first, he didn't want them to see his godlike feature, because then the mood would change. They would not treat Krishna as a little baby Krishna or have the real mood of maternal, paternal, and friendship, love. And also, on the other hand, he wanted Yashoda Maya specifically to close her eyes. Why? Because before, when Balram and other cowherd boyfriend, they complained to Yashoda, oh, he had eaten dirt. And Yashoda Maya got so angry with them, so disturbed. Why did you eat dirt? And she wasn't listening. And Krishna said, no, 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 Maya, I did not eat dirt. And then he had to show the universe in his mouth. And Yashoda Maya told him to open his mouth and show her. And he was thinking, what if now she sees me following forest fire? What will happen to her? She's just heard that I ate dirt and she made me do so many things. And now if she sees me eating the whole forest fire, she won't be able to tolerate it. Or she'll make me do so many other things. I don't want to do all those things. So she said, please, everybody, shut your eyes. And he just swallowed the terrible forest fire. That's just beautiful, beautiful pastimes of Krishna. So thus ends the purport of the humble servants of His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada, to the 10th canto, 17th chapter of Srimad Bhagavatam, entitled The History of Kaliya. So tomorrow we'll start the next chapter, chapter 18. So we'll stop here. See anybody has any questions or comments? Okay, so you all have a safe and wonderful day. Hare Krishna. Jai Shri Ram.